as I see, and there are parents who have joined the webinar. There are teachers who are a part of the webinar. And there are parents who are teachers and teachers who are parents. So my humble request is to participate in one capacity, either as a parent or as a teacher. This will help you to interact well, as well as customize the tools and the solutions that we are going to discuss today. Since our focus today is on career guidance, career planning, career counseling, these terms are used interchangeably. I would be using planning and guidance more or less in the same format. Counseling comes with a very different perception, so we limit our use to that. So planning and guidance would be largely the terminology that we will be using here. As we start, and we all have defined our careers, we have lived our life in one or two part of the careers. I would like to start, how many of us present here actually planned our career? And we want your answers. Please speak out. Please put it on the chat box.
I never did, Harmeet. Never did.
Same with me.
Not me.
Who is this? Please tell us your name as well.
Uma.
Uma, hi.
Yeah.
Hi. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, hi, myself Monica, and even I also never planned for my career. I just plunged into it, whatever I got it, and then I continued with it.
Thanks, Monica. Yeah, welcome to the gang.
So, and were our parents or neighbors or relatives, for that matter, worried about our career?
Yeah, yes, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, as earlier also the parents used to be overprotective and concerned what she's going to be. She's not that good at academics, and same as we are now parent, becoming a parent of a young girl. Still, I also have that kind of insecurities what she's going to be, though she's good in academics and other things as well. So that is the very natural phenomena.
For sure, yeah. Thanks, Monica. Divya also says in the chat window that I did and even worked in the same sector for around 9 years. So she did plan, but now I'm doing something which is completely different. Arunita says that yes, whoever she's talking about, they were worried, definitely. And Ashwat says, I think they worry even now. So Reena says that my irony is that my parents planned differently than what I did. So yeah, a lot of answers coming in, Harmeet.
If the answer to my question is no, so all those who actually said no, then why there's a need to guide our children and students now? I'll address the yes also, please. So the people who said yes, please hold on, we'll come to that part. But if the answer is no, then why there's a need to guide our children and students now? And more importantly, what has not changed actually?
Now we need to guide our children because I think there are much more opportunity now compared to what we had before.
Raj also says in the chat window that competition level has increased a lot, and that's one of the reasons.
Okay. But what has not changed actually?
Divya says that I think the Indian education system is such that students don't get exposed to a lot of things, especially related to fine arts or performing arts, at least till the time they are in college. So I guess she's referring to that more exposure, and you can actually choose different career opportunities.
Right.
She says parents have freedom. Parents give freedom to decide whatever I wanted to do, but they did have expectations. We were not exposed to all the options available.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be addressing these parts when we say there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of options, and specifically related to fine arts or liberal arts, we will be taking that part later in the presentation. But if I save the answer to you, to most of you said yes, then would you recommend career planning to your students or children? Has it really helped you?
Yes, I would definitely encourage my student, even my kid, to go for some kind of career counseling.
Sure. Thanks, Rehana.
Well, Arunita says in the chat window that what has not changed is that parents try to limit the career options as they are not themselves aware of it. So
Absolutely.
that has
Absolutely.
Yanika earlier mentioned that career planning by parents is also very finance oriented. So what is the return to investment, I guess?
Right. We have one or two very interesting questions there, as well as discussion points on the finance part. So we'll address it. So keeping in mind the need of the future job environment, the work environment, I would say largely, and also the changing perception of the students, uh, our focus today of the webinar is going to be what and when of career planning, demystifying the myths of career planning, your role as the first friend to career planning, the career assessment tools, the expectation of the university and the college, and we will try to answer most of your questions. And if not, then please, we will have to do it separately. I don't have answers to all. Um, Having said about the questions, we have received a lot of questions. What I have done is have slotted them in between. The objectives are answering broadly these common questions. Effectively, how can we effectively support our students? The test assessment tools, uh, how to find out the passion of our child, and how to counsel a student when there's a huge gap between capability and aspirations. Since we are all here together, and probably we have few of the students also attending the webinar, it is a joint venture. Together we have to support each other. Sometimes actually the student or the child actually supports the parent and the teacher, and largely the teacher and the parent keep on looking for sources, keep on facilitating, keep on supporting the child. Let us try to find out, when do you know that your child or the student actually needs career guidance?
Okay, my answer would be I think when the child is exploring or looking at exploring, asking questions, which is probably all throughout the stages. There is not a perfect time, but I think the guidance method changes or the answers that you give changes from depending upon which stream to take, which college to go to, what does a profession look like.
Sure.
Thanks, Suman.
Yeah.
Also,
so asking questions, when the child starts asking questions, it's good to address them. Absolutely.
So Monica says in the chat window that generally when they come in middle grades, when there seems a confusion at selecting subjects, this is what Reena says. Ruhani says while choosing the subject in senior secondary grades, and teachers from Vedavali school are saying when they are in class 9. But Divya also mentioned earlier that is it really career planning that's required? Because it seems like, I'm guessing from her point of view that, it's just perspectives on different kinds of careers is what is initially important. And that's what she's voicing in her opinion. Arunita says that in class 8th or 9th, as in 10th, he or she has to decide which stream to take. And in class 10th, there's also pressure of studies. Hence, there's also expectations in terms of career planning around class 10th. Also, when it's time to decide a stream. So I think systematically what students get exposed to and the decisions that they're supposed to take, I think that sort of creates anxiety around is what I'm hearing. And then they have to make important choices is what Yashika is talking about.
Yeah, right. So there are some examples. yes, when the student starts asking questions, when we have to make choices in grade 11 or grade 9 based on the board, um, and there are a continuous set of thought process that is going on in the student's mind. So a lot of students are now coming to me and saying that I don't like math and I want to drop it. What are the career choices available? Then my parents want me to do engineering, but I love art. uh, I want to take up commerce because I want to follow my dream of becoming a cricketer. This set of statement came from two of my students. Uh, I want to be an IS officer, but I don't know what subjects to choose in grade 11. Uh, I can opt for economics, but I want to drop math. I want to be a pilot. What subjects to select in grade 11? So largely, my best friend is taking commerce. Should I take commerce? I would like to take commerce. I love my history teacher, so I want to take arts in grade 11. I don't know how to get admission in the college of my choice, so college could be the end point as well. So as we look into these examples, uh, what is the common thing that you are finding in these statements?
So Shilpi says that it seems like they don't know. There is definitely a sense of lack of understanding. There's also anxiety, confusion.
Mm-hmm.
Myths, misguidance.
Right. So there's myth as well. There's misguidance as well, of course, for sure.
Right, right.
Sorry, who was that? Please do tell us your name as well.
Sorry, Tanvi.
Hi, Tanvi. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Also, Arunita says that students are not able to decide the basis for their career decision. Also, there's pressure, Rihanna says.
Yeah.
Immediate, sorry. Also, Yashika is talking about choosing between your art choices and external factors, definitely. There's immediate impression and short focus. Influence from others. Students want to opt subjects of their liking, but parents want them to offer commonly lucrative careers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so there is confusion, there is peer influence, parental pressure, and there's a disconnect between the dreams and the skills as well, which as a teacher and a parent, we can find out. We don't know whether the student can actually identify that. And we help, our role is to help in identifying that disconnect. Now, having looked from the student's point of view, that when should we give support of career guidance, let us look from the parent's point of view. When do you think that a parent requires help from a career counselor? Yeah, Mona.
So when the child is not able to tell his own choices, like normally we keep asking them what is towards which subject they have more inclination. Sometimes they tell towards this subject, sometimes they keep changing, they keep swinging, They're not themselves knowing which one to pursue. They're not very clear about it. That's when we feel that we should take the help of a counselor.
Absolutely, 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 absolutely.
Shilpi also says that when the child is sure of his choice, but the parent isn't.
Right.
Yashika is also talking.
Answer is again, as for me, the answer is again from where we started on, like when the child start asking question.
Right.
That is the time when parent also need to seek the career counseling. As one of the participant has already mentioned, when even parents are not aware what all opportunities are there nowadays. So that would be the right time for the career counseling for parents as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks a lot. So again, some examples here. When the parent says that my daughter should drop math in grade 9. So these are to add on to what all you've mentioned. When the child is asking questions, when the child is clear and the parent is not clear, then there are vast opportunities. So added to that, we have few examples here. My son should do engineering. My daughter has to become a doctor to take charge of my clinic. My son loves to watch all football matches but has no interest in studies. My daughter wants to stop engineering entrance exam coaching. She has already completed 1 year of coaching. My son is good at accounts. He should pursue chartered accountancy. Humanities and arts have no career scope. My daughter draws well. She should become an artist. So again, the same thing. What is the common thing that you're finding in these statements?
There's a big sound called should and must. So there is very strong mention the idea of misconceptions and myths.
Parents taking the upper hand to decide what the child should do. There's a common thing over here, my kind of.
Right, right. Yeah, so we see that the parent is having a lot of clarity when we say the should part is coming in. The parent is taking largely the independent decision, and there's independent thought, and where we are saying that we need to build a connect between the parent thought and the child's thought, or the student's thought and the teacher's thought. Are having these career choices in this current scenario, in this current global environment, is it good to have these career choices available, or should we stay with the conventional ones?
I think a lot of positive things coming in, like it's definitely good to have more choices, and also one should be open to both. So a lot of positive responses coming in. Also, some Shilpi saying explore the road less traveled, lesser competition, should explore, should be guided, I think. So these are the responses that are coming in.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So in terms of the set of students that I have worked with and some part of my experience, how does a student think, what's the perspective of the student in terms of career choices, is there is only one career in my lifetime, and liberal arts and humanities are unemployable. It's a mixed, see, these would be all mixed inputs coming in. We are looking at largely how does a student starts thinking when the student has to make a career decision or select streams in grade 11. There would be a lot of openness when the student is in grade 8, 9, 10, and for that matter, the parent also has that. But immediately when it comes to deciding upon the subjects, then these are the set of thought processes that start generating. So most students know that their majors or career goals when they enter college. Should we wait for the luck to decide about our career? Should we choose an occupation based on my strongest skills? Career counselors or the career assessments are not for me. There have been cases where the parents have come to me and the students or the child actually doesn't want to meet the counselor. So the student says, I'm clear, and there's a different medium than that we have to adapt to. Then the student thinks that it's only the academic score that is important, and lot of it still prevailing, especially in case of India. My career should please my parents largely. Friends and neighbors are the next part. It's more of the picture that is depicted to the outside world, and a lot of students, when they are in they are at school level, they think that a college degree will assure me a successful future. So this is the thought process of the student, and our idea today is to get into the shoes of the student, understand that perspective, and then look at various tools, techniques, thought processes that we can use while we are addressing the need of the child or the student. Let us try to look into what could be the possible answers when the student is thinking on these lines. because these are all mental blocks. These could be myths for some, and an open-mindedness for others. But these are largely the mental blocks that are created in the mind of the student. Could be more internal or could be influenced from the outside world. It's all circumstantial, and we will address that part in few of your questions when we talk about each student, when we talk about counseling, in fact, and we talk of group sessions. So I'll leave that part later. I'll take that part later. So when we say liberal arts or humanities are usually unemployable, there's a huge demand now. It has already started, and the future is for liberal arts and humanities students, because the skill sets that they develop while they pursue humanities is about writing, research, communication, critical and creative thinking skills, which are in high demand in the work environment. And also, as time is changing and a lot of entrepreneurial ecosystem that is being developed in India, these are the skills which will make an entrepreneur successful besides the technical or the base knowledge. I will have only one career in my lifetime. We all know as adults, it's an ongoing process, and probably 2 or 3. Now, actually, the studies are also coming up that 2 or 3 are the minimum careers that people are wanting to pursue. So 10 years, 10,000 hours, whichever way, and they move to the next career and the next. So because of the vast choices, the scope of looking into many careers is also increasing. Most students know their majors or career goals when they enter college. Very few. I would like to bring a specific case study here. One of a student in a college, a high scorer, top of the top, and she finished, got married, 6 months in marriage. She comes and visits a career counselor, and she starts crying. The reason, she said, all these years what I have been doing, I didn't want to do that. So from marriage to the job to the college, a topper of the college, a topper of the school, everything is good, but there is going to be a breakdown. The volcano will burst. So it's actually very few students who have that clarity. Career preparation is stressful and confusing process. Few of the students who have been working with us right from grade 11, it's a systematic approach when taken. It's a process of self-discovery. So the more they discover themselves, they start loving themselves more, and they enjoy the whole journey. What you're good at is the same as what you like to do. I would actually bring a very specific example which is close to my heart. This is about my daughter. She's 15 now, and she started baking when she was 10. And when she was 12 or 13, the school sent a basic questionnaire to know what are the basic interests of the child. And since we thought that since from grade 10, from age 10 to 12, 13, she has been doing this, she enjoys it. She's good at that. Good at that. So she would like to go in the hospitality sector. Surprising to the parents, she said, that's all my hobby. My passion or my liking to select a career is actually astrophysics. So can you see that? From what you're good at to an area which she has probably not even explored 10%, which is astrophysics. She says, I would like to do that. So this is what is going into the idea of looking into these myths or into these thought processes is to understand what is the child thinking, how is the child thinking. The child would have some assumptions, but we as parents and teachers have bigger assumptions about them. So it's good to talk to them. And these myths and facts actually help us in starting a conversation, continuing a conversation, and that's a never-ending process. Sorry. Um, so few more myths that we take into account. If I wait long enough, luck will eventually bring me to the right career. The moment the child gets into a job, as we as parents and teachers are actually going to tell, start financial planning. So actually, before financial planning, career planning is very, very important. We cannot sit and wait that things will flow and it will happen. I should choose an occupation based on my strongest skills. Here again, there's a very beautiful story of a young child, grade 10. She was very fixed on hair, and I'm bringing that statement where one of the parent was saying that the child is very child is sure what the child wants to do, but the parent still needs help. So the child was saying that I want to do chartered accountancy. I'm very clear about that. And from where that thought process is coming, the child is in a family where she's the third generation, and the previous two generations are actually chartered accountants. So the whole family, right from grandparents to the father especially, are all chartered accountants, and she feels it's in her blood. So I don't know from where that thought process came in the mind of the child. And the child said, I just want to do this. As I started exploring with the child, we found that she's actually good in one of the streams was actually fashion designing. So to help the child think that for when you start your career, what you will be able to do even in your sleep for the next 5 years at least. So helping the child finding out the strongest skills is very important part. Then only academic score is important. This is a common thought process of the parent and the child as well, but times are changing. A lot of parents want to send their children to study abroad, and even the international universities which are coming to India, they are, yes, number one criteria is academic score, but the other next 2-3 criteria are beyond academics. So we have to help the child build a profile which is stronger in academics, as well as the holistic profile, that is, which the universities or the colleges are looking at. My career should please my parents, friends, and neighbors. I think this is a limited set of students think like that. But yeah, it's more to give them the belief that it's a sense of self-fulfillment. There are some gender biases, and I would bring it later because and it may not be a conflict thing, but yeah, more on girls being following the recommendation of the parents and sons not. It's a mixed opinion there, but yeah, largely that is there where the girls say that okay, my parents whatever my parents will say, I will do that. A college degree will assure me a successful future. Lot of college students think that once they finish the college education is done. I don't have to study more. But that's actually the beginning of education. So believe in telling them that learning is an ongoing process. Select a career where you can earn money. A wonderful, this is one of my first interaction with one of the students, a grade 11 student. And by chance, I asked the student the first question, what do you want to do in life? And imagine the answer that came from him. He said, I want to be a billionaire. Now, from where do I start and where do I end the conversation? I had to think a lot. So, is that the mindset of the child only, or it's also of the parent? We have to find that out. Career assessments and career counselors are not for me. Yes, the career counselors help in finding the inner strengths, the inner talent, which sometimes the child or the student fails to do that. So it's, as I said, it's a joint venture. each one of us as stakeholders is playing an important role, and we continue to do that.
This millionaire thing I've heard from so many children.
It's many are saying that, though there's some. I mean, that I was happy that child actually said it openly, and but yeah, that's actually the thought process.
Yeah, but I don't know. Sometimes kids like to joke as well because they think that we take things very seriously, right? So I feel like they are just fooling around. They're telling us that yeah, I just want to be a billionaire. So
Yeah,
it's sometimes tricky in terms of language as well to understand what
does that mean? Yeah.
Seriously, are they saying something or not?
Right.
So I at least find myself confused when so I guess if I interact with a child a bit more, then of course I would understand better.
Absolutely.
But one-off conversation would
Absolutely
be difficult. Yeah.
Absolutely. So when we say passion, it is definitely good. You are very clear that you have a passion and you want to build a career. There are a lot of external factors also we see we see what that passion is, what is the future of that passion, how many people have actually taken that passion and built a career. So what is the scope of that passion? And then for how long that passion is inside you, and how long will it be? So it's again a self-discovery process. It's first to work on the passion. Are you really clear that this is your passion, or there's something else that could just be an outcome? But yeah, definitely building a career around the passion, which means you build your knowledge, skills, and abilities around that. Only a passion and a basic knowledge will not help. You have to be really strong in that area then. So the future is about excellence. That's how also the work environment or the global environment is changing. Let us look into some of the ways in which we can engage a discussion with the child or the student. Now, as I said in the beginning, please attend this webinar in one capacity, either as a parent or as a teacher, because these specific engagement ideas can be taken as one-on-one discussion when you're talking to your own child, and they can also be taken as group discussions, so classroom discussions. There is definitely a customization that has to be done. So look into this. How does it apply to me if I am a teacher or if I am a parent? Now, as we look back, we looked into few of the myths, and we looked into how we can demystify the myths. Now, those myths are actually the conversation statements with which you can start with the child or with the student. And then how do you address that? That address can happen through career talks. So we are connecting, demystifying the myths and the career talks. So a group activity can be taken where students can come up with the myths, or you give the myths, and then the other group can come up with how to demystify the myths. So that can be a group activity. India has roughly 21 sectors. As a teacher, as a parent, becoming aware of these 21 sectors, and if time permits to us, I will share the list of all those sectors. But yeah, there are 21 sectors in India. There are job roles for all across streams. There are job roles in those sectors. So building, first of all, your own knowledge base, and then bringing it as a discussion point with in the classroom. Find out how each student is thinking. This is again looking into the mindset of the child, and dreams and passion and aspirations are actually a good starting point, because these are the happy moments when the child says, okay, oh, my dream career is to do this, which the child is probably thinking that a boy who has been playing with cars right from beginning says, I actually want to be an automobile engineer. There's definitely a connect. But whether that inherent skills are there or it's only about a dream and nothing beyond it. So these could be an initial set of discussions that you can take with your students. Suggesting probably you can, and I'm addressing few of the questions here, keeping 15-minute slot for career discussions, and every time you can one of the discussion point could be talking about a personality. It could be something very far, as Tatas or as Birlas or Mahindras, or it could be as near as talking about the founders of Flipkart, founder of Amazon. So how close, or even some famous personality which are not famous in the world, in India, but famous around the closer society that you know. So you can pick up those case studies and talk about those famous personalities. Autobiographies, this is more a starting point with the parent, for the parent. Like I actually started reading autobiographies with my daughter when she was in grade 5 actually. So that's a good, that just starts it leaves some kind of thought process in the mind of the child. And also the child thinks that if I want to be a billionaire, then let me look at one of the autobiographies. What is the hard work that I need to put in? Profile building, we will talk a little more when we go to the universities or the college section. Our role as parents and teachers has to be unconditional. So a lot of emotional support, especially when the student and the child gets into puberty, and grade 7, 8, 9, 10 are highly, a lot of emotional support is required. Even if the child, it's okay, but that kind of support could be also just a starting point, because there's a lot of external pressure that is coming, and if you as a teacher and a parent can give that emotional support, I think the child feels comfortable, and that could be the starting point, that when the child will come back to you and start a discussion. We will be looking into these tools, specific tools, SWOT analysis, and career assessment tool, which are your questions as well. So having looked into that, different scenarios are there. Each child comes with that uniqueness, and each need has to be addressed specifically. Let us look at one of the case study. Preeti, an 11th grade student, wants to drop sciences. The parents approached us to seek guidance whether to continue with science or shift to commerce. So I mean, this is what the process that I followed. You would definitely have more solutions to it, or better solutions to it. But yeah, generally, what has worked well is having a discussion with first the student. What are the subjects that student is studying? What are the favorite subjects of the student? And sometimes we even look into, if the child says I don't like physics, then we have to look into what part of physics you don't like. Or I like bio, then what part of bio you like. Sometimes the subject choices just depend on getting into the details. So a child may want to take sciences because they like one part of science, but they would like to drop sciences because they don't like one part of the science only. So finding that detail becomes important. Specific areas in each subject where the child is strong at. Again, as I said, each child is unique and each case is unique. So understanding the person per se. And when we did all this, our recommendation was to continue with sciences. A similar case could happen where the recommendation can change to commerce. So it depends upon the third and the fourth area, specific areas, and detailed discussion about the personality. So the answer can change. If you have any additional way of additional suggestion to guide, please share with us.
I was just wondering, in this questionnaire, we didn't ask why does she want to go for other than science. Is there something that other than disliking science, maybe she found some passion or some other interest or something in arts or some other thing. So is that already covered in number 3, or something we should specifically ask what she wants is, why does she want that?
How wider options do we want to keep? It's if we say science, commerce, and arts. Now, if the child is very clear that I want to do arts, then that's fine, perfectly fine. But when there is a high scorer student or a student who has been good in sciences, who understands science, we address that in 2 ways. One, having done sciences in 11th, 12th, your options for other streams is always open. Because if you have not studied a particular stream in detail and you just want to drop it, we have to understand that part. The other part is it's on the brain development. How we want, when students come to us and they say they want to drop math in grade 11 and 12, it's highly not recommended, because we are saying we are tuning our brain to a different format then. So to keeping wider options open, and if the child is doing good in sciences and can actually put that effort in 11 and 12, then the recommendation is science. But if we know that, as I said, see, listing the favorite subjects in descending order, if instead of physics, chemistry, and bio, the order could have been math, English, physics, sports, and bio, probably I'm taking away the sciences. Yeah. And then I look into, okay, why then commerce and why not arts? So how much have you studied commerce, and how much do you know about commerce, and how much do you know about arts? And then we take the discussion in the other streams format.
So Reena has a question rather than a comment. She says, how do you discuss the personality part that you've listed in point 4?
Yeah. So it's more on the psychology part of it. We try to understand the person more from the human perspective. So we go back even to the childhood, the dreams, the hobbies, the upbringing, the internal and the external environment. So how overall the personality has shaped up both in the home environment and the school environment gives us a lot of inputs to understand what future career choices can we recommend. So it goes parallel. It's along with personality, we look into the academics. So it's a 50-50 kind of a mix. If we say that, okay, academics is fine, but unless and until there's actually a lot of exception to it, but largely we take both things together, academics as well as the personality part of it.
Harmeet, I would like to know more about the 5th point, continue science till grade 12. What does this actually, in which way will it help the child? If after 12th also is not very much clear what he has to do?
No, see, here, when from the above 4 steps that were taken, the 5th one is the recommendation. We suggested that it is good that the child doesn't have a lot of clarity in commerce. That was one outcome. The second, the child has been doing has been performing excellently in the sciences, and the child has the caliber and the capability to actually do good in the sciences in grade 11 and 12. Then this particular recommendation comes in. So it's a case specific. If the child says that that sometimes there are situations where the child is actually very firm. I don't want to do it means I don't want to do it. So that's okay. Then we deal the situation like that. So that answers it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
When they come to me, I follow this 4-step process as counseling, mapping, which is the assessment tool, guidance, and mentoring. So this is as a process. I mean, you can set your process. This is more from the career expert point of view than as a teacher and a parent point of view. The questions we are going to address now are about the assessment tools specifically, and a very good question, which is the second question: how do you ensure that you're not restricting or limiting the thinking of the child when you look into the assessment tool? That's a very good point there. So we'll look into that part. So two specific tools that I'm going to take today is the SWOT analysis and the career assessment test. Most of you would know about it, or those who don't know about it, it's strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Instead of explaining how it works for a child, why not we do it first for ourselves? The current career that you are now. So just take the present. Don't go into the past and don't go into the future. Just take today, what it stands today. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities that you have? And what are the threats? And just adding there, the strengths and weaknesses relate to the personality. It's the internal part of it. And the opportunities and threats relate to the external environment. So if you could quickly do your own SWOT analysis and just share 2-3 pointers with us, that would be really good. And you can address the SWOT analysis with two mindsets: whether if today whatever career you are doing, and if you want to change, or if you want to grow, or if you've not done any part of your career and you want to start now, you can take that perspective, whatever applies to you. But take the present. What are your strengths today? Sorry, Ekta.
Sorry, Harmeet. Can you also give us an example of each? That will help us, understand the points better.
Sure. So I am a well-organized person, or I have a qualification in so-and-so area. Could be the strength. I don't have any work experience, could be one of the weakness, or I have been in a particular profession throughout. I don't know whether it's good to shift, whether I have that capacity to shift now. Opportunities could be there's someone who's starting up, there's entrepreneurship ecosystem that's developing, I have the finances, and or there's someone who's willing to fund, and I have a good idea, I can actually start my own venture. So it could be just that starting point, or I want to exit from my job and get into entrepreneurship. That could be an opportunity. Threats are largely the entry barriers from others. To what extent, what are the hurdles that you have? Are there any financial liabilities? Are there any other responsibilities? Or there's something inside as a threat which just is inside you. You feel that can act as a barrier for you. Could be location, could be a threat, that I cannot move from one location to another. That could be as simple as anything. And this largely when students come to me, I actually tell them take a plain sheet and divide it into 4 parts. And though they do the SWOT analysis in front of me, but I say take home the sheet and stick it on your outside your cupboard or your study table, wherever which is visible, or even on the fridge for that matter, for us as such, that you're able to see. And probably every time what comes to you, please make a note of, because it's not going to happen in one day or 1 week also. It's an ongoing process, but getting that clarity, yeah, this is who I am.
Go ahead.
So I currently teach, and so I wrote that my strengths are that I love working with kids and I'm very patient. Weaknesses is that I don't have a qualification that is a B.Ed degree that is required in Indian schools. Opportunity is I feel that teaching is always going to the profession and will always be required. But as well as like a threat could be that probably somewhere in the future students will start to self-learn and might not need a teacher.
Actually, given the India's population and the way we are still from developing to going towards as a developed country, requirement of a teacher will still go on. It will
Hopefully.
actually be in high demand, and requirement for good teachers is the need of the hour now.
Yeah.
Yeah. My strength, I like to teach children. Weakness, not able to handle sometimes adverse situations. My opportunities, I have scopes of better promotion. And threats, the present day of education system, which normally is, becoming highly complicated at times.
And I have rather shifted my career from automobile industry to a teaching profession. And I plan a lot before going to a class. That is my strength. And weakness is that again, which Divya made my job little easy. I also not have a professional degree or a much experience in a teaching profession. It is hardly for few. It will be now an year only that I am teaching now. Opportunities is that there is lot of entrepreneurship into this industry which is coming on, which I also want to build up, but along with the quality and the service which is actually required as a teacher, and to inculcate the kind of values which are required in this profession. Threat is that again, one is the finance, and again there is a lot of competition, and the policies behind this in the system is there, which I am afraid of whether it will work or not. So this was from my side.
Some of these, I think, anxieties that people have shared around teaching, especially, would want to hear from you that, how do you make these threats or weaknesses that people have highlighted into opportunities, for example?
Right, exactly.
What
I also was, yeah, I had the same words actually. So, how do you strengthen your strength and convert the threat into opportunity and weakness into strength? So, how can you bring your weakness towards the opportunity side? If you like teaching and you know that you don't have a B.Ed degree, then what are the other options available? Make a list of that. It's always using pen and paper when we are thinking, make a list of that. Okay, what are the other options? It's like a mind map. Create a mind map and think through, okay, I'm sure that I want to work with children. And if you know that, okay, you want to be an entrepreneur, then probably work with a startup who is who is there in the education space, and you will be able to explore yourself more and contribute more. So when you say you want to be in the education sector and you want to be in teaching, then only a B.Ed degree should not, having or not having should not hold you. So look at what are the options that are possible for you, and then start working out, okay, I can start with this. So it's again a building block. And if when time allows you, look at what are the accredited courses beyond B.Ed also. I know one or two in Bangalore. I'm from Bangalore, so I know one or two. In fact, schools are providing that, those kinds of extended teaching accreditations. So you can look into that as well. You can find out in your city the schools that offer certain accreditation programs for teaching, and you can do that and get into the mainstream teaching. So this is one example which I'm sharing, that how a student should actually do a SWOT analysis, how you can help a student do a SWOT analysis, because all these things will not come in the mind of the child or the student. A parent doing with your own child, this is just an example. This is an example for you, and you can facilitate that SWOT analysis thought process with your child through this. So reading, a few parents come to us and say that my child watches a lot of videos. A very interesting, Ekta, very interesting case study here. One of the parents came to us and they said my child loves to watch all football matches, can get up even at 2 o'clock in the night to do that, but academically he is not performing. And now, since the child is in grade 9, we need to get serious. So then my solution was, okay, let's start from what the child likes. So the interest, let's look from the interest of the child. And then can you help the child read autobiographies of famous players? Can you help the child make a blog, make their own blog and say, today from this match, this is what excited me. I read this autobiography or a biography of a player, and this is what I liked in that. So it's building in that if I want to do something like that, and if I want to take my interest to a career, then I have to do few things which these successful famous sports player have been doing. And you can even, so there are books which are more of the record keeping of all the different games. So cricket, a book on cricket will have all these scores of matches going from 1970 to 2018. So you can, that's how you can tune your child to look at numbers. So getting ready, preparing them to look at in the math book is through these numbers. So that's how you will, so every child for sure will have a very unique skill, a very unique interest, and you have to just find that out. Again, first do your SWOT analysis and then see what are the opportunities that lie for you. If you want to grow in the IT sector, and you want to get into leadership role, then how do you want to do that? If you want to say that you are experienced and you want to join a startup and then contribute there as a founder, co-founder, as an investor, whichever way, that option is available. So finding the opportunities and finding your strengths in your case would be very helpful. Okay. Yeah. So are the parents and the child and the boy very clear that engineering is the stream that the boy wanted to do? Because many cases have come to me where even after completing engineering, no backlog, nothing, still they don't want to build a career in that. Or with engineering, the key problem starts as the number of backlogs. So if they're not doing the course, one is talking to them. If you don't want to do this, stop it, please. It's okay. So parent has to be really brave and bold there to take that call, because the child is not going to perform. The other solution could be, can you take the child to do certain internships in those areas where probably build a list with your own child of these are, let's try some internships in your holidays, and then only the child will actually come up, okay, I would like to do this, I will not like to do that. Or allow the child, being an engineering student, the big boy, allow the child to make a list himself and say, okay, let me start doing some internships. So internships are good to actually eliminate also. Internships helps to decide, but internships are also good to eliminate. So that could be the solution. See, there is definitely a time loss. We cannot bring back the time, but we have to see if that time loss in terms of 2 years, 3 years, and starting afresh, if there's a scope, can actually help in speeding up the career process for the next 10 years. We need to look at that part. See, this is as a general solution, I can say, again, sit through with your child and find out where the interest actually lie, or otherwise take a help of an expert. or this is an online test, like I said, where we will show you, probably find out where actually the capabilities of the child lie. So when students take this test with me, I actually give them the report and tell them, please look at these 20 career options and then mark what you would like to explore and what you would not like to do at all. So that also opens them up. So there has to be a time, I mean, time lost is there, but if the child has that momentum in mind and openness that let me start again and I will put my energies in the direction where a career where I would like to pursue, then start with that point. This is what I want to do and why I want to do, and start afresh. So I'll quickly show, we have a career assessment test, uh, which is taken online anytime, anywhere. This is part of our own internally developed test. It's just 2 entities. So the compass now is the entity there, which only does career assessment test. This is a sample report of a student who came to us and grade 11. Or even when clarity is not there, we use the same test even for undergrad students who actually say that I don't want to do pursue a career in the education that I'm taking.
And this is the report that your company prepares, right?
Yes.
And it's a paid version.
This is a paid version.
Right.
So this is a sample report. It's a online test anywhere, anytime. Students from Kolkata to Uttar Pradesh to Kerala have taken the test with us, and it starts with listing down the strengths in general. This is generally good to know, especially from the child and the student's point of view. As experts, we actually use these strengths to fill in the application form. This is kind of an internal information which I'm sharing with the parent and the teacher. The child has not to know that. So then there are 250 competencies that are listed in the corporate world, in the professional world, and everybody cannot be good in that 250 competencies. So the report, the test finds out what are the competencies in which the personality excels at. This is again a 30-minute test, non-academic, and the report that comes out, it looks into the left and the right brain, it looks into the behavioral aspect of it, than the aptitude part of it, because aptitudes can change. So the report valid today, will the same report be valid 20 years, 10 years hence? Yes, if we are looking at the strengths. If we are, the report extends to finding the areas of development, the gaps, then if a personality has worked on that, the development areas will automatically show. So this is mathematically done. We have percentages added to these competencies. So it starts from the best ones and it comes down. The report is backward working. As I said, it looks into the competencies which are relevant in the corporate world, and we find out in the student or the child, and based on these competencies, so each competency is also explained here. If I say democratic decision making, it is saying ability to do what. So based on these, and so first 10 best competencies and the next additional competencies are listed. Next 10 best are listed. And we stop roughly at 60%, we stop. We don't go beyond, we don't go below that when we are looking at these areas of strength or areas of excellence. Based on that, for this particular personality, these were the career options that came up. They are also actually mathematically done. So for this particular personality, the tourism was the first one. Astronomy, excavation, exploration, fisheries, geology, meditation, hotel management, driving, locomotive. This is more from the global context. This particular career option, it's not relevant for us in India. Language teaching, and we get actually a bigger list. So as I mentioned in the discussion point, a lot of emotional support, a lot of emotional, unconditional support, love, everything is required. If you're Alka, I think she's a teacher because she's saying student, right? So then we go back to and talk to the parents. So the role of the teacher comes here, that the teacher can only control the environment in the classroom as long as the child is there in the school, but there is a lot of impact on the home environment. So this is again a joint venture. So the teacher has to go back and talk to the parents, understand what is being done and what has to be avoided, and just leave the child alone. A lot of, probably sometimes the child needs a break. Give a break, a movie break, a sleeping break, a mobile break, whatever breaks are required.
I was
Please
just
do
going to
that.
add the
A
mobile
shopping break. So whatever they want to do. So yeah, again, as I said, we look into what is the home environment. So
Alka says she's a parent.
okay, so Alka, we have to, it's more on the home environment. If the child is actually stressed out, probably change the room for the child, or the study area for the child. That's only is giving stress. Or if the child is having mobile while the child is studying, you have to convince to the child that keep the mobile aside while you're studying, because just the mobile could be only the stress part of it. A timetable approach works well. Um, a structured approach works well. But yeah, love, good food, healthy food, a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables actually de-stress the child, and long walks, a 10-minute quick workout if the time is limited, that really works. Like my daughter is going to have she's an international board, it's 2 months down the line, all said and done, 10 minutes workout is essential. So that actually is a lot of stress buster.
But I've shared her email ID with you. We can only cover so much in this webinar. But I'm hopeful, at least, in fact, both of us are hopeful that some of your queries were at least addressed. If they were not, then I've just shared Harmeet's email ID. Please feel free to write to her personally. And also, if you want to take any other guidance from her. Yeah, her email address and details are also, she just projected them on the slide.